Good morning, Nigeria. A fresh dawn is here, and so is your number one morning conversation. This is Daybreak Live Extra on Dominion Television. It's Friday, December 12th, 2025, and I am Samson Balogun, thrilled to be on this conversation and on this team today as we bring you clarity, depth, and stories that define our nation's waking hours.
And I'm Anulu Akpo. Great to have you with us today, this morning. Whether you're getting ready for work, settling into your day, or catching us on the go, thank you for choosing us as your morning companion. There's so much unfolding across Nigeria, and we are here to break it all down for you.
Definitely. And I'm Oluwayemi Adelako. And together we'll guide you through a dynamic blend of news, insight, and conversation. It's Friday, it's fresh, and we are bringing a brand new energy to your morning.
All right, let's kick things off with Daybreak gist, and we'll begin with the Senate chambers where history was made yesterday in a dramatic but widely discussed confirmation process. The Senate has cleared Femi Fani-Kayode, Reno Omokri, former Abia State Governor Okeze Ikpeazu, ex-INEC Chairman Atairu Jega, and of course several others for ambassadorial positions. I mean, there's a lot going on in there. These developments have set political circles buzzing, raising questions about diplomacy, loyalty, redemption, political recycling, and what this means for Nigeria's global representation. We'll break down the reactions, implications, and the fresh wave of commentary it has triggered nationwide.
And after that, we'll bring you the weather updates, and then Daybreak News comes up on board. Your crisp, no-nonsense roundup of the biggest stories shaping Nigeria and the world at large.
Definitely. Then comes our newspaper review and analysis. The headlines are loaded this morning, and we'll be unpacking the issues behind the print, helping you understand what matters, why it matters, and how it affects you. And joining us for that session is Lekon Sheboale, journalist and seasoned public affairs analyst, and of course one of the sharpest voices in headline interpretation. For
today's big story, we're turning a spotlight on a question that strikes the heart of governance, and you want to know what the question is. The price of waste, how reckless government expenditure undermines national development, from abandoned projects and inflated budget to needless foreign trips and bloated convoys. Nigeria's losses run deeper than figures on paper. These choices shape the quality of life, stall infrastructure, and erode trust in leadership. Today, we examine the true cost of mismanagement and explore why financial discipline is no longer optional, but essential for national survival. And joining us to unravel that conversation particularly is our guest comrade Oluwakemi Ademola, a respected social commentator, public affairs analyst, and strong advocate for good governance. She'll help us understand not just the symptoms, but the systemic roots of reckless public spending.
And of course, we'll wrap things up with Trend Watch, your window into the hottest stories and conversations capturing attention online and across the street.
So, wherever you are, stay trend. Of course, stay tuned on this show. You are in for an engaging, thoughtful, and insightful ride this morning.
And I'm proud to say this is Daybreak Live Extra on Dominion Television. You're welcome. Let's get right into the conversations.
Definitely.
I must ask you a very deep question this morning. So, after the show, where are you heading to?
I mean, it's a senatorial day, so we are starting with the conversation of senators.
So I would love to know if you are appearing on the floor of the Senate.
I wish this could be the floor. I wish I could be, an ambassadorial candidate to be maybe to not just nominate, to have you people question me as to what I want to put to the table, what I'm bringing to the table. Don't grill me, just cream me. Tell me to take a bow. Let me take a bow and leave.
You know, that takes us to what happened on the floor of the House yesterday. Some senators were grilled, some were asked to bow and go. And I saw the wife of the former governor of Oyo State, the late Senator Isiaka Abiola Ajimobi, on the floor of the House. She was visibly happy to be there. You saw the smile on her face. And most importantly, she was asked, she wanted to say so much about herself, and it was like, we know you. Just say your name, then just take a bow and go. And so many other people like that. The wife of Joaquim, former governor of Imo State, was also there. She also wanted to say things about herself, take a bow and go. I think that happened to all the female nominees. But then when it came to the turn of Reno Omokri, I mean, a lot happened.
I think it's the game changer, honestly, and I expected this, in a way, because of some of the things that he has said in the past, and then
about President Bola
Ahmed Tinubu. But then I think a lot of Nigerians have made peace with the fact that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is not a problematic person.
Before you go for that, is the president running an inclusive government?
Well, it depends on who is answering that question. I mean, for a lot of persons, for once at a time, I had issues with, some names on the list, because they're looking at those lists and then you start imagining the things they've said in the past about this person. But then, in whole, it depends on the president to decide to say, okay, this is the person, or these are the kind of people I want as, as ambassadors, for Nigeria. So let me go back to what happened yesterday. I don't understand what happened, because if you recall, when the new Minister of Defense was going through his screening process with the Senate, the same issue happened. Some senators were like, just take a bow and go. But then some senators were like, no, why should he take a bow and go? Even the Senate President, Akpabio, had to stand up to say, no, you cannot ask him to take a bow and go when people are being killed daily. Children, adults, Muslims, and Christians. And people have questions. Let us question him. Let us get to know if he can really do the job or not. So back to the issue of the senators. Now, I don't understand why some senators will feel like, okay, maybe these people should just take a bow and go. I mean, to become an ambassador of Nigeria is not just beans. It's not just anything that you can just, maybe just do, not putting so much attention, or not putting so much effort. A lot of effort, a lot of things at stake. And that's why even some persons are saying, even these people, if they finally get that position, some persons should not be posted to certain countries. Because why? We've seen what they can do. One of them even mentioned that he has a short fuse. And people are saying, don't post this one to United States, because you know that there will be problem with that particular country. So all in all, I don't understand why that should happen. And then what happened between Senator Ali Ndume and of course Adams Oshiomhole should not have happened at all. I mean, it is not a contest of who holds a political position or not. Imagine when Senator Adams Oshiomhole mentioned that, okay, I have been a governor. Of course, that's the head of a subnational government. So whosoever that has not, become a governor before should not speak. And then the senator also replied to say that, okay, I've become a senator long before you even dreamed of becoming a senator. It was a contest. It should not have happened. It's about Reno. Reno was so quiet. I mean, what could you have said in that situation? So it's so sad. Why can't we allow those people who have questions to question him, regardless? Yes, Ali Ndume said, I've known him for 25 years. He's a good one. But then, if people have questions, you don't have questions for him based on relationship. But people who have questions, let them ask their questions, honestly.
I guess that's where I'm also going to start the conversation from my end, to say, I mean, for the first time, I saw a lot of people that are claimed to be very confident coming to the Senate chamber. I mean, like the committee's chamber of the international affairs, foreign affairs, and then they were, for the first time I saw maybe nervousness, you would say. But that's expected anyway, because this is actually a role that over 200 million people, exactly, over 200 million people cannot feel or have not filled, and you are called, singled out to fill it. So I saw a bit of nervousness, and I was very excited. I did not like, just like you mentioned, I didn't like the fact that some persons were said to, just because they mentioned some of the things they've done, just take a bow and go. I did not like that. Whether or not the person has done, and I think we were talking about something about what it means to have experience, a political experience, and what it means to have leadership experience, as it were. And I think we had the conversation, myself and Samson, one day. And it was just that you have an experience in the political, or should we say the public office position, does not mean the experience is enough for this new task.
Right.
How
equipped are you?
I'm looking for that word. Yes, how complementary are those experiences to what you are about to do now? So if you have to really screen these people, look around the things that they have done. Yes, good enough, but also look at what they want to do. Are there new things you're trying to put on the board or bring to the table? We should have those kind of conversations, not just take your bow and because you've served or you've done something before in the past. That's like, it's now history. I get down before no be property. We want to know what your property is now. We want to know beyond the things you have done before. Now, I think that's also the conversation between Adams Oshiomhole and Ali Ndume was also a thing to look out for. But I tell you, I do not like watching the Senate floor sometimes. You know why? Because I see a lot of jamboree. I see jokes. I see tantrums. I see when they talk about national issues that affect over 200 million people, I see the way sometimes because there's no bad. I'm not saying it's bad to have humor, to be a person of humor. I'm only saying that there's a level humor can get that it will discredit reality, to discredit the level of seriousness in conversation. So you don't want to put humor all the time to say, okay, just make jokes around. No, it's not necessary. At that instance, we have just, how many hours do you want to spend there? Not so long. Make it concise, make it professional, make it official. There's no all this joking around to say if I was a subnational leader at some point. If you have not been in that position, when I talk, you should not talk. Those things are unnecessary for crying out loud.
What you saw on the floor of the house yesterday, while the screening was being conducted, is just a micro experience of what Nigeria is all about. Now, these people were taken from geopolitical zones, senators. They were taken from their different senatorial districts, which happens to be a representation of their districts. Now, that's what you would call mini Nigeria in that space at that time. And you could tell, we have said this time and time again on this show, that Nigerians are quick to forget. They joke about everything and anything. You can imagine when there's a level of insecurity in the country and some people went ahead to, I think, Unilag and make a joke out of banditry and terrorism in the country, and they said they were shooting content. Does that make sense to you? It doesn't. But these things will continue to happen in a country like Nigeria because we tend to trivialize issues. Now, going back to the issue of the president choosing people who have at one point or the other maybe said things about him that you would think, should these people really have relationships after this? Someone like Reno Mokri. One thing I saw that was clear on the floor of the house yesterday, Reno Mokri was calm. He knew what he was coming there to say. He knew they were going to grill him. He prepared for that kind of situation. And he was never nervous about the situation. In fact, all through the whole drama between Aline Dume and Senator Adams Oshiomhole, he was calm. He was waiting for the next question. Okay, what else do you have for me? And for some people, they were really happy to be there because they knew what was going to happen. In fact, when the wife of the former governor of Oyo State, Senator Isiaka Abiola Ajimobi, was talking, at the point she mentioned, after mentioning, I am the wife of the late former governor of Oyo State, who happened to be a senator, former vice chairman Southwest of the APC. She reeled out the profile of her husband, not us. Are you there?
Yeah.
Not us. Nothing about her. Just I am this, I am that, and then that was it. So the real thing is, sometimes you find yourself in that situation. But Nigeria as a country, are we there yet when it comes to level of seriousness? I think we are on ground zero.
And like they say too, that everything rises and falls on leadership. So if our Senate leaders are playing, joking, like they say, don't play, but they play. If they are playing at that level, imagine any other person who wants to make a skit of it. It wouldn't be a problem. That, again, one of the things I also saw was that, this is not the first time, really. If we have to talk about jokes and all of that at the Senate level, there was a time they said they have sent mail, and they said, okay, I revoke my statement. You've said it already. It's on national television. But that's even not. There was a time they were grilling. Oh, they were not grilling. They were screening Bianca Ojukwu. Yeah. And I remember the Senate president at the time, of course, the current Senate president, Akpabio, was saying that, she's a beauty queen. And they went on again and again to talk about how she's beautiful, how she was a one-time beauty pageant for the country Nigeria. And I was tired. I was like, okay, so what again? That someone is beautiful means the person is competent? Is it really true? So I saw a bit of fraternization at the Senate level, which is not supposed to be. Whether or not you guys have interpersonal relationships, make it after the whole show. Have your parties, do whatever you want to do. But at that instance, let it be clear that you are grilling these people. Don't, at a point, there was one of the women that was supposed to be screened also. And then I think Adams Oshiomhole was alluding to the fact that she's also an APC member, and she was, pivotal to how this administration came to be. And I remember one other senator was saying, if she's competent, let's talk about competence. Let's not talk about whether or not she was partisan, whether or not she did something in this particular APC or that. Sometimes they take the joke further to the party level. It is not necessary. This person is coming to serve Nigeria, not APC. It's coming to serve the whole of the country. It's going to be our representative across the places you are sending them to. And it's very important that we understand how competent these people are and what they are bringing to the table. So I just wish I could just tell the Senate that whenever we have this kind of conversations, can we make it serious? I mean, I'm not saying you should grill them and make them, unnecessarily nervous. I'm saying ask them the right questions. There are right conversations that should be had.
Okay, another issue that I have with all of this, is the fact that if care is not taken, the next time that, nominees are supposed to be screened, they might not really prepare for it. As a matter of fact, they might just have the mentality of, okay, I'll just take a bow and I'll leave. Because I don't understand what happened there, yesterday, because it's a very sad one. Another nominee, I think it goes by the name, Emmanuel Adeyemi, a career diplomat. He was asked to name 3 senators from his state. He was only able to name 2. Yes, maybe it was an oversight. Maybe you forgot, or some pressure can make even exams. When you get to the exam, if you're not careful, you might forget half of what you've read. So that is very possible.
What has that got to do with?
I was going
representing Nigeria.
Exactly. So the kind of questions that these people ask, and of course,
they seem watery to me.
The quality
it doesn't really make sense to me.
Questionable.
And these people are supposed to represent Nigeria. Nigeria that is of course, we are giant of Africa, regardless of whether some people do not believe. I'm not sure both of you agree on that. Okay, but then these people are supposed to be screened properly. Ask the right question. And of course, what happened yesterday, there are other candidates that will be screened, should not repeat itself. I don't know what is going on. Senator Adams Oshiomhole has been very vocal in the last few months. I don't know whether I'm the only one that is noticing that. And of course, so if we ask questions...
Dume did the same thing earlier in the year.
Exactly.
I think January, February, March, down to around April, May, he was really vocal on national TV saying all these, he's been blocked from seeing the president and the likes. Maybe we're having a replica of what happened to Alin Dume, to Adams Oshiomhole.
Yes.
It wants to be seen. Maybe that's the case.
And they also mentioned one thing to say that, okay, when he said that, we cannot pretend that we've not heard stories. Speaking about Reno Mokre, the things that he has said, okay, he said President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is a drug lord. We saw videos, we watched the interview and all of that. Ali Dume
went as far as going to Chicago University.
Exactly. He went there. We saw the video, honestly. Ali Dume now said, that was not brought before the Senate. The Senate is serious business. Really. If it's serious business, then you not tell him to take a bow and go. When there are questions you should ask, even it might not even be based on the videos or maybe some of the things that he has said in the past, but can he really do the job? Because I mean, a lot of persons felt like he hustled for this position. Whether that's true or not, we cannot really tell. But then the president wants him to become an ambassador, and of course this should not be the final stage. According to what I read, even after all of this screening process, I mean, they still have to send the outcome to the Senate for final approval. And of course, I want to believe that they will do justice with that. And of course, they will not say, okay, since they've been screened and then that's it, the president can just announce their names and that's all. We need to do better. Nigeria has struggled to have ambassadors for the last 2 years. If we cannot get it right, I want to believe that we will not blame ourselves for naming these ambassadors, honestly. Because what's the essence? If at the end of the day, we spend 2 years trying to gather names, and at the end of the day, we gather names, and the names, Nigerians are even scared for their lives. They are scared for their country. It's sad if you cannot screen those people properly, honestly.
Yeah, well, I think I would just hope and pray that all this would eventually mean what we expect it to mean for the country, Nigeria. But going forward, I think one of the conversations that also erupted from all of this is if the president is really inclusive in his approach. And some would say yes, especially with Reno Mokri's nomination, to say someone who has publicly criticized you again and again, and you're putting the person,
so many times in this administration,
so and it's the same person you want to put. But again, I wish they could have asked Reno Mokri, do you want to work for somebody that is a bad leader? Are you ready to take the task? Because he has to be. Are you going back on your word? The things you said, do you want to say to the house that, because it was a committee. It was a committee. Yeah, I never meant it. I was just because the way I saw it, it wasn't absolutely correct. I didn't have all the pictures.
After a little bit of research, I got
I got to discover. Can you go back on your word, or maybe continue to say, I'm ready to work for a bad leader? So because what does that make you? Because, the inclusiveness of this government that we're talking about is still a thing that, sometimes you want to beg why people stand up for what they stand up for. Because is it that once you stand up for something, you want the attention so you can be called for something? Whether or not you've spoken against the government does not matter to you. What matters is if they see you and you are noticeable, then they'll give you an offer and you take it without asking questions. Do I want to work with these people?
You see, one thing I've always said to people, if you want to be probably an activist, I do ask this question. Okay, as an activist, are you hungry?
What's the
right? What exactly is the motive behind you being an activist? Do you want power or you want money. If these two are the reasons why you want to be vocal, you are not ready. You are not an activist. You are just a castivist, like some people will say it out there.
But activists in the morning and maybe something else in the night. It's possible.
Well, in some cases it could be like that. But then, all in all, one thing I noticed about Reno Mokri, I think I have tried to follow him in the last 2 years to see what exactly he does. Pan-Africanism is one thing he holds there. He's a lover of the country when it comes to what he says. Forget about what he says about personalities, but what he says about the country, Nigeria. I think he sometimes when he talks, he goes on and on to say, look, he provides solutions to some of these problems. Oh, this is happening and these are the solutions. I think someone who thinks that way should really be included in one way or the other. Only if the person at the helms of affairs wants to work with him should, get to, work with whatever it is when it is being nominated. But then, sometimes politics is different from being a technocrat. Yeah, as a technocrat, you might want to say, oh, I need this person, he has to work with me. But in politics, interest comes first. So if the president is interested, yes, but is the party interested in bringing people who did not do anything for the party during the election into the party and then be the ones to enjoy the largesse of what is going on? So I think the president should really think about this. It is good, always good to make friends with who you can call your enemies, but don't make enemies out of those who are already your friends. That might be disastrous.
Honestly, speaking on that, let me just add to that. I think you're very spot on but then there's been a little bit of change in Reno's approach in terms of how he speaks about. Exactly. I think there was an interview that he granted recently with, I think it's a podcast really, and then he was asked the same question to say, we've heard a lot about what you said about this person, the president. Why is it that, you are now trying to, make him look good now in the last few months? And he said that, it is possible that, you have a feeling about someone, in the last few months and then you can change that. And then he also mentioned the fact that I think apart from even the individual now, he's been able to portray Nigeria well. You notice it. I follow him on X, so I see some of his posts. He always wear all those regalia, the African regalia, just to portray Nigeria in a fine manner. I don't know. It depends whether they'll be able to work with him well, or maybe there'll be issues. We really cannot tell. But there's one thing about Reno. I'm not so much of a fan, but it's the fact that I think he's cerebrally sound. Maybe that's part of the reason why this administration, is saying, okay, let's have this kind of person, be an ambassador for Nigeria. So he's up to Nigeria. And there's one thing about President Bola Ahmed Tinubu that I'm still trying to understand. The reason why he's comfortable working with people like that. Look at Daniel Wala. If you know the things that Daniel said about President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, you'll be shocked.
With Atiku Abubakar during the last election, and then he's back with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. I think a lot is going on. And it's only the president that can come and say, look, this is why I do what I do. But that will take us to Weather Report on this show this morning. That will be the convenient time to leave that topic. I will be starting with Abeokuta this morning. That's coming from Ogun State. Weather report as we speak in Ogun is currently at 24 degrees Celsius and mostly cloudy right there. Later in the morning to rise 5 notches to 29 degrees Celsius, partly cloudy. It will remain partly cloudy in the afternoon and evening at 33 degrees Celsius and 27 degrees Celsius respectively, while it will be clear overnight at 25 degrees Celsius in Abeokuta North today.
Okay, let's cross over to Ibadan Northeast or Your. Weather feels like 24 degrees Celsius this morning, and later is expected to rise to 29 degrees Celsius, mostly cloudy around 1%. And in the afternoon, 33 degrees Celsius, partly cloudy around 9%. In the evening, 26 degrees Celsius, partly cloudy around 6%. And overnight, 24 degrees Celsius, mostly clear around 17%. That's what we have for Ibadan Northeast this morning.
And from Ibadan now to Ekiti South, Ekiti Southwest, Ekiti State today, weather feels cloudy at 22 degrees Celsius. Then it rises later in the morning to 28 degrees Celsius, moving 6 notch ahead, and it's expected to be partly cloudy right there in the Ekiti South. And later in the afternoon, it rises much further to 32 degrees Celsius, and it's expected to be mostly sunny. And it drops by to 24 degrees Celsius in the evening, and it's also expected to be partly cloudy in the evening period of that particular state, Ekiti South. Now, overnight, 22 degrees Celsius is where it drops to, dropping by 2 degrees Celsius to 22 degrees Celsius, and it's expected to be mostly cloudy in Ekiti Southwest, Ekiti State today. All
right, moving on to the Center of Excellence, that is Lagos State this morning. Weather in Lagos currently feels like 29 degrees Celsius, and later in the morning it will remain at that, partly cloudy right there in Lagos. It will also remain partly cloudy in the afternoon and evening, with the weather being so close at 30 degrees Celsius and 28 degrees Celsius respectively. And overnight, it will drop to 27 degrees Celsius, mostly clear in Lagos today.
Okay, let's cross over to Lorry International Airport, Kwara. Weather feels like 23 degrees Celsius. Later this morning is expected to rise to 29 degrees Celsius. Sunny around 1%. In the afternoon, 36 degrees Celsius, mostly sunny around 1% as well. In the evening, 29 degrees Celsius, partly cloudy around 1%. And overnight, 25 degrees Celsius, mostly clear around 7%. That's what we have for Ilori this morning.
And to the largest states in the country, Nigeria, in terms of landmass, that's Niger State today. Suleja, the weather feels hazy at 22 degrees Celsius in Suleja. And then later in the morning, the rises by 8 degrees Celsius to 30 degrees Celsius, is expected to be partly cloudy. Then it rises much further to 34 degrees Celsius in the afternoon, expected to be quite sunny in Suleja today. And evening, it drops to 26 degrees Celsius. Weather is expected to be clear and is also going to remain clear overnight at 23 degrees Celsius in Suleja, Niger State today.
I'll probably join you guys in the north soon, but I'm sticking with the southwest this morning, and that is Oshogbo, Osun State. Weather in Oshogbo currently feels like 23 degrees Celsius, and later in the morning it will rise by 6 notches to 29 degrees Celsius, remaining partly cloudy. And later in the afternoon, it will rise to 35 degrees Celsius, mostly sunny. And in the evening, it is expected to be around 26 degrees Celsius, partly cloudy and mostly cloudy overnight at 24 degrees Celsius in Oshogbo, Osun State today.
Okay, allow me cross to Port Harcourt Rivers this morning. Weather feels like 22 degrees Celsius. Later this morning is expected to rise to 27 degrees Celsius, mostly cloudy around 7%. In the afternoon, 29 degrees Celsius, partly cloudy around 3%. In the evening, 23 degrees Celsius, partly cloudy around 7%. And overnight, 22 degrees Celsius, mostly clear around 11%. That's what we have for Port Harcourt Rivers this morning.
And from Rivers to the Federal Capital Territory, of course, Abuja is where we land. It's also expected to be hazy at 23 degrees Celsius across board. And later in the morning, rises to 30 degrees Celsius, expected to be mostly sunny in Abuja, Federal Capital Territory. And later in the afternoon, it rises by 4 degrees Celsius, also expected to be sunny at 34 degrees Celsius. And later, it will be clear at 26 degrees Celsius in the evening, and overnight, 23 degrees Celsius also expected to be clear in the FCT Abuja today.
All right, a quick flight to Kaduna North this morning. Weather currently feels like 18 degrees Celsius in Kaduna, partly cloudy right there as we speak. Later in the morning, it will rise 10 notches, that's a sharp rise to 28 degrees Celsius. Sunny, it will be partly cloudy in the afternoon at 34 degrees Celsius, mostly clear in the evening at 25 degrees Celsius, and overnight it will be clear at 20 degrees Celsius in Kaduna today.
Okay, let's take a look at Kano Municipal. Weather this morning feels like 17 degrees Celsius. Later this morning is expected to rise to 25 degrees Celsius, mostly sunny, around 0%. In the afternoon, 32 degrees Celsius, sunny, around 0% as well. In the evening, 23 degrees Celsius, partly cloudy, around 0%. And overnight, 19 degrees Celsius, partly cloudy, around 0% as well. That's what we have for Kano this morning.
And this will be a fine place to draw the curtains on that particular weather forecast when we move to something else. But you can also follow us on our website, www.dominion.org.ng, to watch us live and interact with us. Also on our social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and LinkedIn at Dominion Broadcast, and on X at Dominion Cast. And after this, it will be Daybreak News. Stay with us and don't go nowhere.
Live from the heart of the action. Welcome to the nerve center of Next Level Broadcasting.
This is the OB van, where the studio meets the street.
Equipped with cutting-edge cameras, crystal clear audio, real-time switching, and broadcast control, we don't just capture moments, we deliver the experience live.
Anywhere, anytime, from stadiums to red carpets, breaking news to buzzing festivals, weddings, birthdays, and all sorts of ceremonies. We bring the world to your screen in real time.
It's not just a van, it's a complete mobile production house, a command center, a broadcast beast.
This is more than a broadcast. This is the OB Van difference. Live, loud, limitless.
Ready to go live like never before? Book the OB Van today and take your event to the world. One powerful broadcast at a time.
To book, call 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Email marketing@dominion.org.ng or visit our socials on Instagram @Dominion Broadcast.
Dominion Broadcast, your channel of choice.
Hello and welcome to Daybreak News on Dominion Television. My name is Anuluakpo Idowu. President Bola Tinubu has expressed displeasure over the backlog of unpaid federal contractors and set up a high-level committee to resolve the bottlenecks and fund repayment. Briefing State House correspondent after the Federal Executive Council meeting in Abuja, Special Advisor on Information and Strategy, Bayo Ononuga, said the president was upset after learning that about 2,000 contractors are owed. According to him, the committee includes the Ministers of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun, Budget and Economic Planning, Atiku Bagudu, Works, Debu Mai, Education, Olatunji Alausa, Housing, Ahmed Dangiwa, and Marine and Blue Economy, Boyega Oyetola, along with the Director General of the Budget Office of the Federation, Tanimu Korfi, and the Chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service, Dr. Zach Adedeji. Ononugan added that the Director General of the Bureau of Public Procurement briefed the Council on the magnitude of the legacy debts, prompting the President's directive. The New York State government has reassured residents that the state remains safe and is under no imminent threat of banditry. The assurance was given during an expanded Security Council meeting held in the Secretariat's Agodi, Ibadan, and presided over by Governor Seyi Makinde, convened to address the rising security concerns across the country. Briefing newsmen after the meeting, the Special Advisor to the Governor on Security Matters, retired Commissioner of Police Fatai Owocheni, reaffirmed the government's commitment to safeguarding lives and property despite the broader national security challenges. And speaking on behalf of the traditional rulers, DOC Olubadan Oba Abiodun Koladaisi commended the government for its proactive efforts. The meeting was attended by members of the State Executive Council, service commanders, local government chairmen, and traditional rulers. And moving on, the participants of this year's Christmas Fiesta of Dominion Broadcast Group have expressed their utmost joy, describing the station as a rare one in Oyo State with fascinating equipment. Speaking with Dominion News, some teachers in their speech stated that the experience at the stations shows a clear difference from other stations they have been to for the same purpose, stressing that the station ticket of just 3,000 naira comes with a lot more than expected.
Big difference, a huge difference. I'm so surprised that we can see this kind of thing here. I'm very, very happy to be here. The money we paid is lower than what we are seeing. It's lesser than what we are seeing. The ones we've been through, they tried, but this one, kudos.
Yeah, being here, in fact, is a great moment for me that I really wish for again and again, because it's been a while I go out and have fun like this. In fact, coming in here, because we had access into the control room, we went into every section here, especially the TV sections, where news was being showed out there. In fact, I really enjoyed it. I know and I can tell everyone out there that it goes beyond the amount paid. And the fun we've been having here ever since we came here, in fact, it's been tremendous.
Meanwhile, some students equally expressed their joy, wishing for another time out at the station.
I would like to come to Dominion Television again. I would like to come back to this place again. I had a lot of experience. The bicycle to the studio. When we got inside, everything was like as if we're in heaven.
I love dancing and I dance. I also love drumming and I also drum. I like the dance competition here and the weather is cool.
The participants of this Christmas fiesta stand a chance of meeting with their favorite on-air personalities of all time and win different gifts, amongst other exciting things to make it memorable. Away from Oyo State, Ogun State government has commenced a new phase of road maintenance across the state as part of preparations for the Yuletide season. The initiative, coordinated by the Ogun State Government Public Works Agency, OGPWA, seeks to improve road conditions, ease traffic flow, and enhance safety for residents, commuters, and tourists. Speaking on the renewed intervention, the Special Advisor to the Governor on Public Works, Babatunde Adesina, reiterated that the intervention was part of a continuous road improvement program aimed at boosting economic activities and ensuring safer mobility across the state. He encouraged the general public to support the agency by reporting areas requiring urgent attention, as community feedback would always play a key role in the agency's rapid response efforts. And in business, the federal government has announced plans to borrow 17.8 trillion naira in 2026 to finance a widening budget deficit, as revenue projections continue to lag behind spending needs. According to the 2026 budget framework from the Budget Office, new borrowing will rise with a 72% increase, driven by a weaker revenue outlook and a larger fiscal gap. Despite a slight drop in total spending, the 2026 fiscal deficit is projected to climb to 20.1 trillion naira, an increase of 43%. However, the deficit to GDP ratio is expected to fall from 4.1% in 2025 to 3.6% in 2026 due to assumptions of a higher economic output. And finally, in sports, Nigeria's Super Falcons dropped one spot in the latest women's ranking released by the Federation of International Football Association, FIFA. Previously ranked 36th, the Super Falcons dropped to 37th. The Super Falcons were inactive during the last FIFA Women's International break, which contributed to their current position in the monthly ranking. Justin Madugu's side, however, maintained its position as the #1 African team on the ranking despite its slip globally. South Africa, Ghana, Zambia, and Morocco complete the top 5 highest-ranked countries in Africa. And globally, Spain remains the highest-ranked team, with United States of America, Germany, England, and Sweden completing the top 5. And that's about it on Daybreak News. You can visit our website on www.dominion.org.ng to watch us live and interact with us. You can also follow us across our social media platforms on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and LinkedIn at Dominion Broadcast, and on X at Dominion Cast. And as Daybreak News, I am Anoluapo Ido. Thank you for watching.
Live from the heart of the action. Welcome to the nerve center of Next Level Broadcasting.
This is the OB van, where the studio meets the street.
Equipped with cutting-edge cameras, crystal clear audio, real-time switching, and broadcast control, we don't just capture moments, we deliver the experience live.
Anywhere, anytime, from stadiums to red carpets, breaking news to buzzing festivals, weddings, birthdays, and all sorts of ceremonies. We bring the world to your screen in real time.
It's not just a van, it's a complete mobile production house, a command center, a broadcast beast.
This is more than a broadcast. This is the OB van difference. Live, loud, limitless.
Ready to go live like never before? Book the OB van today and take your event to the world. One powerful broadcast at a time.
To book, call 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Email marketing@dominion.org.ng or visit our socials on Instagram @Dominion Broadcast.
Dominion Broadcast, your channel of choice.
Need a professional space to bring your vision to life? Dominion Television Studios offers state-of-the-art facilities perfect for your next broadcast, commercial, corporate video, or live event. With flexible rental options, cutting-edge equipment, and a supportive team, we provide the perfect environment for high-quality productions. Unleash your creativity. For bookings, email us at marketing@dominion.org.ng. Call us on 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Check us out on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and TikTok @Dominion Broadcast and on X @DominionCast. Book your space today. Dominion Television, your channel of choice.
Welcome you back. Thank you for staying with us. This is Newspaper Headlines and Analysis. I'm Oluwayemi Adelakwa. I'm not alone in the studio. I have with me Lekon Shibowale, who is a journalist and public affairs analyst. Welcome on board this morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. I'm very well. Let's start from Nigerian Tribune. I have this headline that says, Awujale Trun for Semboa ruling out the sons Kwamwan. You're not one of us, family says. But then I think he's been on this matter for the last few weeks now. I think he even wrote back and say, okay, I have every right to be a contender for the next seat of Awujale. What do you make of all of this? Because he's saying, he has every right, according to his lineage and all of those things. But the family is saying, no, there was a time that you aligned with another family entirely. So why are you coming now to say, you have every right to the seat of the throne now?
Most times, what we do sometimes, we have to be very careful. For Wasiu Ayinde, to have been the Oloyomoba of Ijebu land. By every right and standard, is qualified. But we believed, as they have alleged, that it's not from the royal clan that he is claiming. We all understand. For some of us, we understand how Wasiayinde emerged as the Oloyomoba of Ijebu land. To some extent, it was political. It was the intervention of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. At the time, President Tinubu was as Ijebu on a visit to late monarch Awujale of Ijebu land. And that is where President Bola Ahmed Tinubu made an appeal to Awujale. He requested that Wasiayinde should be made Oloyomoba of Ijebu land. And at that time, maybe Awujale doesn't really know or doesn't really see into the future. That something like this, it was compensated because of the intervention of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And here we are today, after the passage of Awujale, he is now also claiming, an entitlement to the Awujale too. And the truth of the matter is that naturally, ordinarily as the Oloyomoba of Ijebu land, when you make someone the head of princes and princesses, it means that that person is also entitled to that throne. So whatever you are saying now may not really be relevant, because you ought to have considered that before you made him the head of the princes and princesses. In some cities and towns, Wasiu Ayinde will automatically become the Awujale of Ijebu land. He will automatically become the monarch of that city on a very good day. But because enthronement into this position, is by we have different royal houses in Ijebu land, and it's turn by turn. Do you understand? So it is not yet the ruling house that Wasiu Ayinde claimed, to become the Oloyomoba of Ijebu land. It is not yet their turn. So now he has moved to another royal house. In order for him to actualize, his dream of becoming the Awujale of Ijebu land. And that is what those people are saying, that you are not part of our royal family. So, is it that, as a matter of ordinarily, you are not even entitled to that position, because by all standards, by all traits, you are not from a royal house. We are in Nigeria, we are Nigerians, and anything can happen here. So, you have to go and queue and wait at that royal family where you claim that where you emerge as Oloyomoba of Ijebu land. So I think, as time goes on, nobody can say, all this thing lies in the hands of the Ogun State government, under the leadership of Governor Dapabiodun. It's the governor that determines, based on the recommendation of the kingmakers, where the governor have the final say. And
can governor decide for this family, Fisembuwa?
Yes, it is not the issue of can governor decide. Every state, your state now, we now have a new Oyo State Traditional Council amendment as amended 2024 now. And that's why you observe that, look at what happened in Oyo, during the emergence of Oba Owade Alafin of Oyo. The kingmakers recommended another person entirely, but the governor decided to ratify the approval of Oba Owade. So, that tells you that in Oyo State, we have a different law that says, the governor decides who becomes the king in any city or the towns. But possibly in Ogun State, we have the kingmakers. Kingmakers we recommend, and looking at the traditional council in Ogun State, the governor will approve any candidate, that the kingmakers, recommended for him. But that's not what we have in Oyo State. You understand? But by and large, you never can rule out, the supremacy or the power of the governor, the federal power of the governor. Whoever the governor is interested in, this is democracy, and we are in the political dispensation. Everybody we have is our people, right? So, directly or indirectly, whoever the governor have interest in automatically becomes the next Awujale of Ijebuland, be it Wasiu Ayinde or anybody. No matter what any of your family says, the governor have the final say.
Okay, I think it's a fine place to leave it. We'll get to know, who is going to become the next Awujale in the next few months or weeks. Let's talk about what happened in the Senate. Not the entire Senate now. What happened during the screening process. I have this headline that says, Oshiomhole and Ndume clash as Senate screens Reno Mokri offers. When it got to the turn of Reno Mokri, something serious happened. And it should not have happened at all because, I mean, these two senators, exchanged words, I used to be a governor, you are not a governor, you keep short when a governor, someone used to be a governor is talking. And of course, the senator also came back to say that, okay, when I became a senator, you were not even close, to becoming a senator at that time. And then I think Senator Adams Oshiomhole also mentioned the fact that, we cannot pretend that we've not heard stories about this particular, nominee. So we should ask questions. While Ali Ndume would rather, Reno take a bow and leave. Really, is that a proper way to actually screen these people?
Well, I don't really understand. One will have thought that the era of bow and go is gone. Looking at the scenario that plays out, when the new Minister of Defense was at the Nigerian Senate, a senator recommended that the Christopher Musa should just take a bow and go. But the Senate President refused. That no, we are in a very critical situation that Minister of Defense cannot just take a bow and go. So I don't know why they want to make that of Reno Mokri. I don't know the relationship between the two of them. Okay. And I don't know why they want to make that Reno Mokri to be different. But by and large, the most important thing is the altercation, the issue, the matter that, matter arising from that sitting is, the issue between Ndume and Oshiomhole. Yes, Ndume is a senior politician. Ndume has been in the House of Reps since 1999, before he later moved to the Nigerian Senate. And when Ndume was at the National Assembly House of Reps, Oshiomhole was the NLC president, and politically, it is the gap is wide. Yes, Oshiomhole was a former governor. Ndume has never been a governor. I can tell you that Ndume is, in his own right, is powerful. He's one of the the political power brokers in Nigeria, very recognized and very articulate, just like Oshiomhole. And one would have expected that something like this would not even have come up at all. Both of them are senior citizens. A former governor and a former Ndume was a former majority leader of the Nigerian Senate, and a high-ranking senator in the Nigerian Senate. So, by and large, I don't know. I was even surprised that both of them engage in this kind of, just because of Reno. I don't know the kind of relationship. I don't know what Reno have. So, it seems like this is not too good, it shouldn't have happened at all. And one can just advise the two that they should just close rank. Both of them are from the ruling party, the APC. And they know that they're even talking about is also, a sympathizer of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, even though he's not a member of APC, but he's one of the sympathizers, one of the supporters, great supporters of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So one can just advise them, to be calm and, guard against this kind of, because the altercation was even unnecessary at all. Yes. So the issue of take a bow and go should not even have come up at all. So the reason for that, for me, I don't know. But we all believe that we are saying that the era of just come to the Nigerian Senate, bow and go, should be discouraged. The president that sends their names to the Nigerian Senate wants you to ask them questions. This is someone that is going out of the country. Whichever country that you send him to is the president of Nigeria in that country. So you have to ask him questions. You have to ask him. Everybody knows that Reno is very articulate, of course. But that is, being articulate, being vocal, should not be one of the major or serious characteristics of a Nigerian ambassador. You know, it goes beyond that. You know, you have to know, you know, his ideas, you know, his vision that will later translate into mission, even when he gets to the country the president is sent him to. So, this kind of altercation should not have arisen. And, you know, like I said, the era of Bango in the Nigerian Senate should be discouraged.
Definitely, especially when he said a lot before now about the president. Okay, let's talk about this. You know, it's a tragic situation that happened recently in Bayelsa. You know, because this headline is saying PDP Ogun Adamawa governors mourn as Bayelsa deputy governor dies. You know, I think yesterday he slumped, you know, in his office and it was rushed to the hospital in Inago, and that was where he died. And then don't forget that before now, a lot has been going on. His principal moved to the APC. There was even an impeachment process and all of those things. A lot of discussions around it. And of course, what do you make of this death now? Because a lot of persons are trying to link it to some of the things that have happened before now. But people are seeing it as maybe it's just a natural death.
Well, for me, you know, death is just death is natural. You know, I don't believe that. Yes, it happens. You know, but I don't believe. In recent weeks, this will be the second time that you remember Bagboyega Famodun, the former APC state chairman in Osun State, who is also the monarch at Igbajo. I think Onigbajo, because I cannot remember the title now. You know, he also died like 2 weeks ago, and there were protests in Osun State in Igbajo, you know, saying that Governor Ademola Adeleke, you know, knows the cause of his death, and now we're having the deputy governor. So, for me, I believe death is a natural thing, and nobody have the rights, and nobody can kill, you know, except God. And I don't know. For me, I cannot reconcile the death of the deputy governor to what is happening, you know, between him and his principal, the governor. I don't know. Before now, I don't know his state of health, and we've not heard anything about his state of death, his state of health. You know, like in Taraba State, the deputy governor of Taraba State, Agbukefa, is deputy. You know, in the last 1 year, over 1 year now, has been hospitalized, and so we know that if something like that happens to him, of course, one will can conveniently say that, okay, maybe it's because of his ill health and all those stuff. But for this, I've never heard of him, you know, aside from on the political turf, you understand. But about the state of health, I cannot say. So, but I don't think we should be talking about his death and be saying that because he's having an issue. Yes, the governor moved to APC. But if the governor moved to APC, he will not be the first governor, the first deputy governor, that his principal will move to a party and he will stay. You know, there is, I think there is one governor that moved to APC and the deputy remained in PDP. So this, he will not be the first deputy governor to do that. So I see no reason why. Yes, someone can just die. It's just a natural thing. You know, nobody knows the state of health. Nobody knows his hidden health records. Nobody knows what he has been going through, you know. So you cannot now relate his death to his principal because his principal moved to APC and he chose to remain in PDP. So for me, I'm not one of those people that we subscribe to the fact that because his principal moved to APC and they have issues. Yes, it's bound to happen. His principal moved to APC. His principal is, you know, concluding his 8 years second term tenure, and the man is planning to take over from his principal. He's nursing a governorship ambition on the platform of PDP. So it's, you know, he chose to stay in PDP, where he believes he can realize his ambition. And but the normal thing is, you know, 2 or 3 days ago, Governor Ademola Adeleke moved to a court party. Yeah. He left with his deputy governor, so his deputy governor followed him. So, but in some instances, in few instances, you have the governor moving to another party, and the governor and the deputy governor stay. So that is not a very serious issue. But you just pray that may God grant his soul eternal rest, and it's only God that understands. You know, when something happens, sometimes, you know, it's only God that understands. Nobody, no human can really comprehend what happens sometimes.
Yes, and we wish the family the fortitude to bear this evil loss. Let's talk about Atiku briefly before we leave. Recently came out to say that all of this going on between EFCC and the former AGF, that's Malami, is political. According to him, if Malami is a member of the APC, it doesn't matter whatever it is he had done in the past, they will allow him to just walk freely. So he thinks the current administration is trying to do a lot to him, just like how they did to Tambo. According to him, he thinks the grilling of Tambo, and of course the current, the former AGF, is more political than trying to get some truth out of him.
Yeah, I mean, even why former President Buhari was in office, when he was alive and he was the president of Nigeria, there are so many corruption cases. You remember this EFCC, former EFCC chairman, one young man, Bawa, yes, Bawa or something like that. We learned that Malami, nominated this guy, appointed this guy, and this guy worked for Malami. And there are so many, even before he left office as the Attorney General of this country, there are so many corruption cases leveled against him. You understand? Talking about recover stolen funds from EFCC. So many, aside from Abacha, even during the 8 years that he was the Attorney General, so many looted, recovered properties. There was a time we even saw, we watched a documentary about two of his sons. The kind of properties they have in their states. It's amazing, quite amazing for a 24, 25 years, having a palatial residence, boutique, big supermarket stores, cars and all those stuff. So, that has been on even before now. So, but because we are in, this is a political dispensation, everything is always termed as witch hunting, and nobody has indicted Baka Malami. What they are saying is that they only invited him, just to question him, just to ask him some questions, and if EFCC, if the personnel are convinced, they will ask him to go. So, but the problem is, if you are in APC, are we saying Yaya Bello was sometimes squeezed? He was asked questions, he was detained. He's still a member of APC. So for the fact that, yes, you are no longer a member, is it because, okay, now if you have corruption cases hanging on your neck and you are not a member of APC, maybe because you are now in ADC, so are you saying questions should not be asked? It is, well, we are going in our democracy, and one we expect that comments like that, not even from a well-referred former Nigerian vice president, we don't expect that from him. He's an elder statesman, Allow the people to do their work, Okay. Let them invite him. Let them ask him questions. If they are convinced, they will ask him to go. If they are not convinced, they will ask him so many questions. We are in this country. Ndume is a member of, he has been a member of the ruling class. He has been quizzed so many times. Ojiuzo Kalu, at the time, was sentenced to maybe 4 or 5 years imprisonment. If he has been a member of the ruling class. So nobody should be saying that because he's a member of APC, that is now in opposition, because he's now in opposition, he should not. There are so many people in ADC, that we believe that they should have been quizzed, that questions into ask, but they are still working freely. So you don't let the EFCC do their work. Let them invite the man. Let them ask him questions. We cannot say because we are voting in the next 2 years, questions should not be asked. So he has been entrusted with a national responsibility. We are only asking for a stewardship and accountability. So for me, nothing is wrong with that. But as you all know, our former president, our former vice president, Atiku Abubakar is a politician, and he also have his own ambition. And these are few of his lieutenants that he believes that will work with him in 2027. So whatever they do to any of them now, yes. So I will advise that as another statement, Atiku Abubakar should just let's wait and see what comes out of the investigation.
Okay, I think it's a fine place to leave it. Although I think yesterday made it the 4th day, with the ESCC, and of course, that's why a lot of persons, are raising eyebrows to say what is going on.
Let them do their work and let's wait for the outcome.
Okay, all right. Yes. I think I need to thank you for being a part of the segment today. Lekon Shobowale, journalist and public affairs analyst. Thank you for being a part of today's segment, and of course to the audience, thank you for joining. We need to take a short break, and when we come back, we move on to Big Story. My name is Oluwayemi Adelakun. Please stay with us.
Need a professional space to bring your vision to life? Dominion Television Studios offers state-of-the-art facilities perfect for your next broadcast, commercial, corporate video, or live event. With flexible rental options, cutting-edge equipment, and a supportive team, we provide the perfect environment for high-quality productions. Unleash your creativity. For bookings, email us at marketing@dominion.org.ng. Call us on 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Check us out on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and TikTok at Dominion Broadcast, and on X at Dominioncast. Book your space today. Dominion Television, your channel of choice.
Live from the heart of the action. Welcome to the nerve center of Next Level Broadcasting.
This is the OB van, where the studio meets the street.
Equipped with cutting-edge cameras, crystal clear audio, real-time switching, and broadcast control, we don't just capture moments, we deliver the experience live.
Anywhere, anytime, from stadiums to red carpets, breaking news to buzzing festivals, weddings, birthdays, and all sorts of ceremonies. We bring the world to your screen in real time.
It's not just a van, it's a complete mobile production house, a command center, a broadcast beast.
This is more than a broadcast. This is the OB van difference. Live, loud, limitless.
Ready to go live? Like never before. Book the OB van today and take your event to the world. One powerful broadcast at a time.
To book, call 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Email marketing@dominion.org.ng or visit our socials on Instagram at Dominion Broadcast.
Dominion Broadcast, your channel of choice.
welcome once again to Daybreak Live Extra. Today on The Big Story, we are confronting a difficult truth, one that continues to slow our national progress and cripple our future. Our topic is titled, The Price of Waste, How Reckless Government Expenditure Undermines National Development. Every year, government after government announces massive budgets, ambitious projects, and lofty developmental plans. But across Nigeria, the reality is painfully visible: abandoned projects, inflated contracts, incomplete infrastructure, and billions wasted without accountability. Today, we dig into the cost of waste, not just in naira, but in lost opportunities, stalled growth, and everyday suffering of Nigerians. I'm Sam Balogun, and thank you for joining us. Government waste in Nigeria is not a headline. It is a cycle, a painful, expensive cycle repeated across generations, from one administration to the next. Projects are launched with fanfare and abandoned with silence. What remains are rusting structures, empty buildings, and unfulfilled promises that continue to drain national resources. To understand the magnitude of the problem, here are 5 major abandoned and perpetually delayed projects, when they began, and what their stagnation means for the country. Let's talk about the Ajaokuta Steel Company in Kogi State. It started in 1979. For 46 years, Nigeria has poured over $8 billion into what was meant to be the nation's industrial backbone. Yet, Ajaokuta has never produced a single sheet of steel. This failure represents lost jobs, stalled industrialization, and decades of wasted potential. You want to talk about the East-West Road in the Niger Delta. The project started in the year 2006. This is 2025, right? After 19 years, the road meant to transform transportation and economic activity in the Niger Delta remains incomplete. Delays and cost overruns have slowed commerce, increased travel risks, and deepened the sense of abandonment felt by residents of the region that feeds the nation. Let's talk about the Mambila Hydroelectric Power Project in Taraba State. It was conceived in 1982, and 43 years later, the 3,050 megawatt power project remains stuck in legal battles, funding issues, and political inconsistencies. A project that could significantly address Nigeria's power challenges remains nothing more than paperwork and promises. You want to talk about the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway in the southwest. It was commissioned in 1978. Despite recent effort, the road suffered more than 30 years of abandonment, re-awarded contracts, and stalled work. Its neglect has cost Nigeria billions in lost productivity, increased accidents, and massive traffic delays along one of the nation's busiest corridors. National Stadium Abuja. It was completed in 2003, and neglect began early as 2007. Today, after 18 years of abandonment, the facility built for national pride stands as a symbol of waste, a reminder of how quickly public assets deteriorate without proper maintenance and accountability. This project highlights the true price of recklessness expenditure: stalled development, wasted resources, economic setbacks, lost jobs, broken public trust. Nigeria's challenge is not the absence of funding or ideas. It is the absence of continuity, accountability, and a culture of responsible governance. Thank you for joining us on The Big Story today. I won't be doing this alone. I've got someone you would always want to listen to when it comes to the issue of Nigeria. The Pan-Africanism in her is top-notch. I have with me in the studio Comrade Oluwakemi Ademola Aremu, a good governance advocate, and with her this morning, he's also an activist anyway, and we would love to call her Comrade Katie. She will be helping us unpack what waste really means for the Nigerian people and Nigeria as a country. Comrade Oluwakemi Ademola Aremu, good to have you in the studio.
Good morning. It's so good to be with you this morning.
There's a lot to unpack.
Yes.
You look at the project I just read out, I just spoke about. There are projects that could transform the fortune of some regions in the country. Now, we have a national stadium in Abuja, but we have to play at the Gosul Akpabio Stadium in Uyo, and that is abandoned. Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. I can count about 3 or 4 contractors that have worked on that road, And for so many years, over 30 years, the road is not complete. And we have had to what we call reconstruct a road that was never finished. Comrade Katie, where is this coming from? And what is the problem with the Nigerian people, with governance in Nigeria, and the governance of waste, as we put it?
I like it that you mentioned as you reeled and went through the abandoned project, I was almost saddened. But I really
those are just 5.
Yeah,
of
all
the
of
thousands of projects.
Yes, as a little child, I read about the electrification project of New Busa. It was so exciting, you know, looking at what was done, how people were moved away because this hydroelectric project was going to serve beyond Nigeria. So I'm used to thinking on those skills. So when Ajaokuta started, that was the year I started secondary school, I think, yes, definitely, you know, and it was so discussed in my family. One of my senior brothers started work there. So, you know, it's to let you know that there was much Itakpa was supposed to supply, you know. So when you're going through a whole project, it's a whole process. So what I want to point out is that I'm not surprised. Why am I not surprised? The average mind that is poverty as in holistic understanding of poverty, never thinks of consequences. It's not a mind that has a poverty mindset, does not think of the long-term play that will lead to the outcome that is desired. Unfortunately, governance in Nigeria was intercepted by violence. Militocracy is very violent. Because now it means nobody ever was secured again. Even when you were picking a career, you know, in civil service, and it should be a continuum, okay, and then every part should be adding to what the former person has done. That process was roughly interrupted to the point that you could just wake up in the morning and you just hear the bugle and everything has changed again. So what that disruption in the national life has already created a lot of insecurity in office holders. Now, the new trend is for people to want to put their name on everything. They want to start a project, you know, so they're not going into project because
started and completed by so
and they put their name on the plaque. They think by doing so they're immortalizing themselves. No, you're not. You're not immortalizing yourself. People are not stupid. Now, there are so many buildings now everywhere, big buildings, and when you try to assess them, you discover proper jobs were not done, but the outside is fine. Just for the launching project, you know, before the governor will leave office, he has to commission this, you know. So it means that we're not properly educated. You know, look, no man can do beyond their mind capacity. So when you know that, look, we are all alive to build a world. And it's not just to ourselves, it's to the whole world. So that is what is happening. The average person wastes a lot. Waste is based on capacity. You know, there was a time I met a young man. I was much younger then, okay? He was a bus conductor, and he told me, he makes 600 naira per day. And then as a lecturer, I was making 2,500 per month. So I told him, I said, you know the difference between us? Because I said, the difference between us is that what I can do with 100 naira, you can never do with 10,000 naira. Why? Your mind ability, your capacity to think and utilize. So that is why wastage is an action, or a series of actions, and a process. So it depends on who is handling the resource. And that is why even when it comes to building wealth, it is never how much you earn. It is how you use what you earn. So when you don't understand basic accounting principles, okay, and I put that at the table of accountants of Nigeria, I think they have a lot to do with how money is being managed here. You know, as a child, people would say things like, if you were a scientist, you needed mathematics, and if you were non-scientific, you would need English. And I shook my head, even as a child then, very little girl. Interesting. So if you even know everything in your head and you're a scientist, how will you express yourself if you cannot speak, if you cannot communicate properly? And the same goes for you if you were whatever and you don't understand mathematics. Mathematics is the code of money, proportionality, percentages. So when they want to confuse Nigerians, they just turn to numerology. And it's discovered people are already lost. because they cannot perceive 10% of the population, 9% of, the theories of proportion in statistics. If you're not conversant with them, it's a language to speak over the people. So the same way, when government you say, oh, well, we want this project, they know they have to present something grandiose with very beautiful feature, beautiful, promises. Jobs will be generated. I keep asking people, the big question is how? Yes, you have to present
Is it just
something.
about building?
It's not just the building. There came a time now where it's, building projects, physical projects was a means of siphoning. Any normal person knows that the money you use to maintain your clothes is more than what you use to purchase it.
Right.
Yes, you make a purchase, that is like a sunk cost, the first level of payment. Then you have this variable cost that come on. So to maintain the clothes, you'd have to use electricity by ironing it. You have to starch it. Somebody has to wash it. A whole process is involved in maintaining.
It costs more to maintain.
It costs more to maintain anything. And that is why when they say Nigeria has no maintenance culture, it is saddening. Because it means that you don't even understand that the least cost, is the money that is used to purchase. The money that is used to maintain will determine the utility of whatever you're...
And the longevity of the project.
Yes, longevity is also an investment. It means you're involved in maintenance, you're involved in expert advice and, counseling. You see, all these things, consultations must go on. So we have to understand the Nigerian project is about human lives. It is about, it's about all of us. Until we understand that, we're going nowhere.
Okay, there was a video I came across day before yesterday, which actually spurred me to talk about this today, and that is coming from Alhaji Maitama Sule, who happened to be one of the stalwarts in Nigeria, a former permanent representative of Nigeria at the United Nations. He has this to say. Let's watch him say this and see how that means for the Nigerian people, and in the Nigerian context, is this really true?
National community and met this gentleman, a professor. This gentleman told him that he knew why we were out. We wanted to get support and sympathy for Nigeria and to explain the federal cause to the international community. And he explained that the international community was not particularly interested in Nigeria as such. All that people were interested in were our resources. And he even went further to say, if we could get robots to exploit your resources for us to develop our economies, we wouldn't mind the whole lot of you being eliminated. But, he said, in the case of Nigeria, there is a difference. And the difference is that Nigerians are very hard-working and very intelligent. And they have got resources, most of which they know next to nothing about. If this country, Nigeria, with all these resources, both human and material, was to have an uninterrupted period of 20 years of peace and stability, it would be another Japan. Because these intelligent, hard-working Nigerians would come to know about their resources, they would use their intelligence and work hard and exploit those resources and develop their economy. A developing economy needs a market, he said. In your own case, you have no problem with the market. Your population is large enough to provide the market that you need. And even without that, the Nigerian market is the entire West African region and beyond. So you will have no problem with the market. Therefore, if you are given an uninterrupted period of 20 years of peace and stability, you would become another Japan, you would threaten our economy, you would be a thorn in our flesh. That was the view of this professor in 1967. And he therefore ended by saying that even after the Civil War, we will not allow you to rest. We will create one problem after another for you. Knowing this, therefore, I feel that in spite of our shortcomings, which I must admit we have, there is a kind of orchestrated campaign against Nigeria so that it may not emerge the economic giant that it is destined to be.
That was Alaji Maitama Sule right there. I want to ask you, Katie.
Yeah.
Is there a foreign agenda against Nigeria that spurred us to that level where we just have to waste everything and anything?
Okay, for a fact, I always say, just like you have a gross domestic product, you have family household values, you also have a level of global domestic product. If it is high for you, it is low for me. So it means that it is my duty to ensure that I manage my resources. Look, this should be taught to children, okay? You have to know. My father told me, you are Oluwakemi Teller, okay? You are a princess of Yoruba land. Do you get it? Even when we're having issues with picking up the language, he will teach you who you are. And how many families tell their children who they are? Unfortunately, I think sometimes 2010, I was discussing with an elderly man, very elderly, strong person. I will not mention his name. I told him, I said, where is the money of Nigeria? He said, that was what he was thinking about at a point. Then he became a leader in Nigeria. As a child, I had an atlas, okay? And in that atlas, I noticed that they showed what resources could be found in many places in Nigeria. As I'm seated here, I own a library, and I have a book that detailed the resources and minerals en masse. En masse, outside Nigeria, outside this planet. Some people know how much resources are en masse. And that's why they were thinking we will be taking trips to those places, and it's a matter of time. What am I saying? If you have treasures in your home, and you're waiting for a stranger to tell you what those treasures are, you are very lazy, you're irresponsible. A portion of your people must devote their time to finding out what they have. It's very simple. I was in primary 3 when they taught me the history of Mungo Park discovered River Niger. I raised my hand. I said, no. The people that were by the river were already living there. But he discovered it as a trade route so that his country can go interland and explore the resources which are not available in their own place, in those places, and negotiate for them. Is that difficult to know? So if somebody is coming to my tuft because of something that is attractive, nobody ever employs somebody that is worse than them. You are employed to solve a problem. So if you don't understand, young man, young woman, whoever you are, that your parents already invested 20 years in your life for you to qualify for any job, you will treat yourself like you had no future. So that is it. So everybody, look, what you need is to learn to read and to write. What you read is what will determine the quality of your life. What you write is what will help the future. What you speak is what will cause people to think. So why would we cooperate with our enemies? Because if Nigeria is standing, Africa is standing. If Nigeria is standing, every black man will walk in power. Why? 1 out of 4 black people are Nigerian. So we owe it to our race. We are not inferior to anybody. Do you know that some people never even know that Africa is really Akebola? They've never bothered. They say I didn't study history. That's laziness. Look, you cannot go to school for 4 years and think that is the end of your life. You are alive. You should improve in life quality every day. It is your duty to find out. If it's not important enough for you to find out and invest in it, then it's not important. Anybody can come and steal it and take it away. And that is why waste is a process. It is non-utilization of something that is valuable that is being left to waste or stolen or is lost.
This culture of waste, who should take responsibility?
Fathers.
Past administration.
No,
contractors or oversight agencies, and just like you said.
Fathers. Look, men are created as protectors and providers. So the way we've managed Nigeria is this indirect ruling, okay? The British, when they came, the way to enslave, because we were too many, like you mentioned, the markets. I always say it. When General Sani Abacha stand and say, a nation of 120 million people can never be toyed with. He's taking pride
in the numbers.
In the numbers. And a dwindling population is a shame. Produce children. But when you tell yourself that if I have children, I can't send them to school, it's because you didn't know the history. That in England, when they made school compulsory to reduce population there. And the fewer you are, the less you will consume of what is present on planet Earth. So instead of thinking, let us shrink, you should be thinking, how do we expand? How do I take care of everybody? And that's why I keep telling people, you cannot be wicked to the point and think your nation will progress. It's not possible. Poverty has 9 beams, pillars holding it straight, straight up. So if you're going to really deal with life, you deal with whatever is destroying the ability of a man to know. A mind that knows is a mind that's free. It's a mind that wants to live and survive. So when you have illiteracy, so that's what I'm saying, we have the problem. For example, this morning, the federal government has announced that they want to recruit 98,000, I think, of military personnel. I just shook my head. France is trying to grow its own force, and they're starting with 3,000. And guess where they are going for the 3,000? Teenagers. Ghana is beginning to grow its own police force because they say we've determined we're going to be ruling by law. They've been at it for some years now. Do you know what they are doing? They are bringing primary school kids to visit the police headquarters. It is the mind of a man that expands and builds the next generation. It's not the confinement and the restriction of another person. Look at it. If somebody even sold it to us and created this amalgamation of clay and metal that we never mix, we can use our strength to build ourselves. Okay? And that was what the youth corps was supposed to do. Now, instead of thinking, I'm afraid of this person, they are not doing things my way, you get to live in their community. Human beings are just human beings. And we all exhibit the same characteristic. We eat, we go to the loo, we excrete. We also respond to irritation. And we grow, and we reproduce. These basic things that kids know in primary school. The next thing is to build the next layer of knowledge. How do you now sustain your life? By feeding well. Then junk food should not be sold in primary schools. You see how we are doing behavior as if we are not using our intelligence? Instead, they'll tell you, in fact, there was a board that was on, and I told them, please, why don't we sell fruits in our school? They say, hey, we can't be giving the children fruits, better they buy biscuits. But the biscuit is not healthy. Unless you want to deceive yourself. The other part of it is that instead of to maintain your health by feeding well and thinking right, you'd rather take one pill and throw it in your mouth. So are these pills harbingers of death or elixirs of life? Do you get what I'm trying to say? You cannot say, okay, you know what clothing is for. Clothing is for you to protect your body against the weather. And God's so good because the weather will keep changing for the human beings. We have options, okay? Now, you decide to expose your body in a nation that is very hot in the tropics. What are you doing? It means we are not applying our mind to whatever we're doing. So it's the same attitude. If you would not preserve your life, you can't preserve anything else. And if somebody is saying we need peace and stability, there are 2 kinds of peace. Okay? I'm referring to what he said. You have the positive peace and the negative peace. Okay. We definitely, as a nation, like negative peace. Negative peace is silencing people from expressing themselves. My expression of myself is unique to me. It is not in any way affecting your life, but we will not let people live. What is wrong? If I want to dance, I will dance. If I want to shout, it is my shout, it is my dance. So long I'm not crossing to your own space. So we don't value independence. And if you look at Jung said, the beginning of freedom is individuation. That is the individual thinking, my life is important and I value it. And I'm willing to do the work that will help me live a quality life. I'm willing to dispose. Everybody gets 24/7, 24 hours, 7 days of a week, every human being. Now, if I spend my time not digging my own cistern, not looking at my life, gossiping about everybody, criticizing and blaming others, I'm lying to myself. So a nation of liars. That is what we do. We hardly face the truth. We don't look. Now, let me tell you, it's not a 5-tribal world. The first tribe says, life sucks, you are my problem, It's because you're not worshiping my God. That is why we have trouble. No. God gave brain and hands. They are meant for something. Yes, so if I now decide, no. Okay, I want you to go to heaven. What's your business with my heaven? For crying out loud, it's my life. Okay, and I keep saying it. People have a right to go to hell by being created. Do you get it? That's why the options are before you. So when you now make my life your business, really, is your life enough for you? These are the problems. Then the other part is the educational process. The education is equipping the mind of man to make a choice, a rational choice, a logical choice. Now, you're very temperamental, you're very emotional, you think I'm your business. You see how we're going about it. But when you come to the second level of people, humanity, they go like, look, please, my life sucks. I need more education. I need more information. I need to, you begin to seek to build yourself. And if you're going to get education, you will invest in it. It will cost you something.
Okay, just before we go, let me ask you this. How does reckless spending affect Nigeria's borrowing habit and the debt profile?
One, there was a time when a man paid our debt, begged us out of debt and everything. And like I said, they were looking at us, okay? So it's very simple. If you keep involving yourself in grandiose projects, pretending they are going to be fixed assets, okay, and you are not going to put anything into current, working capital, people that are in accounts, you understand this. Working capital that you have to keep is 3 months of money to pay and maintain what you have if you're going to start. If you don't have that cash at hand, forget it, you're not liquid enough for the business to survive. So when we come up with projects, I say, let them know that I was the one that built this building, okay? Unlike what we had in the past, when we had real leaders in Nigeria, the Cocoa House project, it was as a result of the profit of a venture. So it is a circular economy, okay? But what we have now is packaging. Nothing inside. The outside is very beautiful. When you open a very big box, you find a very tiny cake. If it is true cake, if it's not chin-chin. Do you get it? So we've gone to that way. Let the child go to school and come up with a piece of paper. It does not matter whether in the process of undergoing that training, the mind is conceiving how to create jobs. In fact, if you've been to the university, you are really an entrepreneur in the making. We're supposed to create jobs. So nobody will leave you to build a great nation. Nobody, you'll fight. Life is about war. It is war against yourself. You want to sleep, you keep awake and do your work. You want to put it down and say, no, let somebody else do it in the next generation. No. Let me sacrifice for the future.
Do you think what we currently experience in Nigeria, which is wasteful expenditure, do you think it is it contributes to underdevelopment more than corruption itself?
The corruption, that is why all these things are interdependent, okay? The corruption of the mind, that is what corruption is the corruption of the mind that corrupted the system. So if you are into that process, you're not into development. Positive peace is that we have a balance of justice, we have processes of handling grievances and disputes, the judicial is transparent. When it comes to economics, there's accountability. For example, if I make 1 kobo extra today, I tell my children immediately, because I'm trying to get their mind to trust in the information and the process of how money is made. Some people cannot even tell their children their birth date. Neither can they tell them how much they earn. Do you know it is that terrible? So what you're seeing as the final expression of the Nigeria is the microcosm, the family. That's why I said the men. Okay, if the men are tuned because they have more time, that's the truth. If they are tuned to maintaining the family economics and investment, it will show. Because when they go to meetings and they are in committees, their mind will be able to go through the, their mind will be able to go through the sequential process of leadership. Yes, of leadership. So it begins at home.
So should project completion and what we call continuity be made an obligation for leaders, especially those who are coming into power?
I must commend the governor of Oyo State, Governor Seyi Makinde. When he came up, he went about trying to complete projects, though he has left the shopping complex at Agbowo alone. But I don't know whether he's still going to do it. I hope he's going to do it. What he did was to look at abandoned projects around, and he's on Circular Road now, trying to complete those things, not bothering whether it's after him. That is how to do it. Governance is a continuum. You'll be there for 4 years, 8 years max. So can you change the whole world in 8 years? So we should be able to hand the baton to the next person. That is why the relay race is usually the longest race. It's not the short burst of 100 meters. It is the maintenance of the system. So until we change our mind, we can't see anything on the ground. So the external enemy is not as terrible as the internal enemy. Because if we're determined to take advantage of what is great about everyone in Nigeria, not pushing down other tribes and thinking you're better than anybody, then we're on our way to greatness. We still have a choice. Even today, we still have a lot of choice because nobody can play with that population. more than 250 million people. In fact, if you see the list of the better economy projected for the next 4 years, Nigeria is up there. Nigeria is a very stable economy. So like you said, let's begin to buy Nigeria. Nobody will leave you to buy Nigeria because China would have lost a very big market if they let us buy. So Nigerians, we have to make a choice. I love Nigeria. I live for Nigeria. And I work for Nigeria. Are you?
Thank you, Comrade Katie, for joining us on the show this morning.
Thank
It's
you
been a
for
wonderful
having me.
session with you. And we'll do hope to bring you back someday to talk extensively about the country Nigeria. Thank you for joining us. As we
Thank you
wrap
for
up
having
today's big story, one thing is clear. A nation cannot grow when wastage becomes a tradition and accountability becomes optional. Every abandoned project is more than a failed structure. It is a lost opportunity for growth, a burden on taxpayers, and a reminder of the urgent need for reform. Nigeria must break this cycle with transparency, genuine political will, efficient project monitoring, and continuity across administrations. The country that redirects wasted billions into real development that improves lives. This has been the big story. Thank you for staying tuned with us on this show. Daybreak Life Extra continues. And up next is Trend Watch. Thank you for being a part of the show. Samson Balogun is my name.
Live from the heart of the action. Welcome to the nerve center of Next Level Broadcasting.
This is the OB van, where the studio meets the street.
Equipped with cutting-edge cameras, crystal clear audio, real-time switching, and broadcast control, we don't just capture moments, we deliver the experience live.
Anywhere, anytime, from stadiums to red carpets, breaking news to buzzing festivals, weddings, birthdays, and all sorts of ceremonies. We bring the world to your screen in real time.
It's not just a van, it's a complete mobile production house, a command center, a broadcast beast.
This is more than a broadcast. This is the OB van difference. Live, loud, limitless.
Ready to go live like never before? Book the OB van today and take your event to the world. One powerful broadcast at a time.
To book, call 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Email marketing@dominion.org.ng or visit our socials on Instagram @Dominion Broadcast.
Dominion Broadcast, your channel of choice.
The show is still Daybreak Life Extra right here on Dominion Television, your channel of choice, where inspiration meets entertainment. Now we take Trend Watch on this show this morning. And I have with me once again the three Musketeers and Oluwayemi Adelakwa and Lulu Akwaido. They are both here with me to make sense of what's trending on social media.
We're glad to be back.
Welcome back.
Now, speaking of what's
we still have to talk on this your Agbana this morning, but then that would
I should flaunt it enough for you guys to see. Yeah. So speaking on that, the Nigeria Labour Congress and also declared December 17th for their protest, national protest over rising insecurity and other claims in the country. If you recall, about 3 days ago, they said they were going to do this if the government does not really sit tight. And so some will beg the question, is this not late? Is this long overdue? Is this something, because everything seems to be dying down a bit, because there seems to be calm.
A little bit of calm,
you know, in some regions. So you can tell. But they said they want to go on strike December 17, a few days to Christmas. What do you guys have to say?
I think it's a joke, actually. This cannot be true. And if it is true, I think we have a bunch of attention seekers saddled with responsibilities of leading strategic, places in the country. I mean, they have been given responsibilities that I don't think they are capable of handling. Now, if we go back in history on people who have actually been at the helms of affairs when it comes to the Labour Congress in the country, we have had people like Senator Adams Oshiomhole, who eventually grew to be governor of Edo State and then became the national chairman of the APC, and now a sitting senator. He has gone round and a senator across the country. We're just talking about how vocal he has been recently. You see, the challenge you have in Nigeria is people fail to focus on the goal. They sometimes, just to seek attention, they create a topic. Yes, I'm not saying at the point where we had what we call an urgent attention to security in the country, where urgent attention was needed and the president's attention was called to it, and everyone had, they were on their toes to see that they restore peace and orderliness into the country. That was about 2 weeks ago. Within the space of 2-3 weeks, all that happened. NLC did not come out to say we are going on strike, or maybe we want to have a protest. During the thick period, we are kidnapped. Schools were being kidnapped back to back. School children were being kidnapped back to back. They never came out and say, "Oh, tomorrow we want to have a strike." But how about now that these children are returning back to their homes, and the government is making an effort to recruit more people into the Nigerian army, recruit more people into the Nigerian police? In fact, it made it a standing order that every police officer that are currently acting as protocols to some politicians or people in high places in the country should return back to their business and be functioning as actual police officers. You see, this is a time when the country is already getting it right. Maybe one way or the other, we might be far short of what is expected of us as a country. But I think strategic steps and moves are being taken to make sure that we get it right. This is not the time for NLC to come and disrupt everything. I think this is a misplaced priority. This cannot be true. It has to be a joke. That's my opinion.
Okay, so let me take it from where you stop. Yes, are there things that NLC can do to ensure that security, is achieved? I mean, good security in the country. But then, talking about strike, I don't think a protest rather. I don't think is the best thing to do at this time, especially few days to Christmas. I don't know. I think yesterday I was talking about NLC. I don't understand their strike. I don't understand their protest, because we've seen cases whereby they would threaten to go on strike or maybe protest.
I think this particular slogan that that is out there, when you have done something, people ask you, what do you gain? I think we should ask after each protest, after each strike, Nigerians should ask them, what did you gain?
Honestly, because I mean, at the end of the day, I'm not sure they'll be able to answer that question. Even when ASU was on strike, even when the doctors were on strike, I mean, they didn't come out to say we want to protest or we want to embark on maybe a long strike. So I don't understand this now, whether it's clout chasing, if you like. I'm not really sure about that. But then NLC, there's a better way to actually make sure that good security is achieved in the country, rather than say we want to protest. I don't know. Will people even join them in that protest? Nigeria, I don't know. But from what I've seen, from what I've read online over time, a lot of Nigerians do not really, they don't believe in anything.
Some will assume it is more
exactly that have to do with strike or protest, coming from the NLC. Honestly, especially when we are seeing, changes in terms of security. Just this morning, I read a report that's talking about, recruits of about 50,000, officials, into the police force and of course the army and all other, apparatus. So it's a good one coming from the federal government. Let's not distract the federal government at this point in time. If anything, we should look for ways to support them, not start a protest and of course you now start blocking the roads, people who are traveling back home, and we don't want that.
Exactly my point. You took that out of my mouth to say what is really the cost of protests in the country, because if you have to check that, the pros and cons, how beneficial is this to the society? But let's take some comments. Of course, Nigerians are saying quite a few things that we should check out this morning. Of course, this coming from Matthew. He says, I would not call this. He said it's a protest that, why is the time they are finding solution to the problem of insecurity? You people want to do protests. Are you people enemies of progress? And someone said, Amundi SU says, Christmas demand. Anyway, maybe they need some Christmas. But anyway, we can't go there. Please, sir, our local government autonomy, please. Another person, that's Michael B. Also a comment you might like to take, if you like.
Honestly, I don't think we can even take more comment because of time. But then, honestly, NLC should sit again. Maybe the leaders should have a proper sitting and discuss. The protest is not what we want, and of course, I want to believe that Nigerians, a large number of Nigerians, are also not going to support protests coming from NLC. Really.
All right, thank you for joining us on the show so far. It has been a wonderful session right here. So we meet again next time. Samson Balogun is my name, and until that time, I say keep being good out there, keep being safe. Bye for now.
Okay, my name is Oluwayemi Adelakun. Thank you for being a part of today's Daybreak Live. Do not forget to spend wisely during this Christmas period. Thank you for joining. Bye.
And I would say that every feeling is welcome, but not every action and behavior is welcome. Thank you very much for joining us. My name is Anulu Akpoidowu. See you again next time. Merry Christmas in advance. Anyway.